The 2008 video game Dead Space was created by EA Redwood Shores and released by Electronic Arts. On January 27, 2023, the Dead Space Remake is expected. Here are the 10 things you didn't know about Dead Space. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 10. Behold a Pale Horse, the many deaths of Isaac Clarke. If Dead Space does one thing right, that is, its death. The Dead Space universe is full of inventive, horrific killing. Whether Isaac is using a plasma cutter to slice a lanky humanoid creature into pieces, or blasting away a gigantic ball of tentacles spewing explosive slime. There are more than 50 distinct, gruesomely detailed ways to die in the original Dead Space alone. Even when the player is expecting it, Isaac's repeated deaths are typically depicted in a brief sequence that is perfectly integrated into the action. Number 9. Dead Space saved the horror genre on consoles. On consoles, the horror scene lagged in 2008. Even though a few quality games had been created following the success of iconic horror series like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, PC gamers still dominated the horror genre. After that, Dead Space appeared and gave the horror genre a much-needed breath of fresh air. The horror genre on home consoles may have been saved by the game because of its very positive reception on consoles. Number 8. The series is a massive homage to horror and science fiction films. Although Dead Space doesn't directly copy anything from well-known sci-fi and horror films, it does use some of their themes and concepts. To begin with, the design of several of the creatures is heavily influenced by the Alien films. Consider the humanoids Isaac Ishimura encounters that are painted on the USG's walls. They resemble the survivor from Aliens who begs the squad to murder them and is found webbed to the wall by the Space Marines in every way. Number 7. The first Dead Space is about how people mistreat nature. The first Dead Space narrative often gets lost in the game's excellent gameplay and atmosphere. Who cares why you're shooting necromorphs when the action is gory and frenzied and the horror is claustrophobic and terrifying? The misuse of nature by humans and the negative effect that this misuse has. The message is clear: abusing nature and exploiting it for resources will only have negative effects on our lowly race, culminating in our deaths. Although the adverse effects are quite literal in this case, turning people into deformed, freak show aliens. Number 6. Dead Space 3 sucks. Even the creators admit it. Dead Space is acclaimed as a classic. Dead Space 2 garnered positive reviews but fell short of the original. And Dead Space 3 is still hidden in the attics of most players, where they reluctantly leave a pail of fish heads for it to devour. The Dead Space team was allegedly not to blame. It is said that EA put pressure on the Dead Space team to make the game more digestible for a wider audience in the name of more money signs. This isn't at all shocking given EA's track record, and it's not the first time they've messed up. Number 5. Lullabies are featured in the game's trailers because kids are scary as hell. Everything is spookier with little kids around. A youngster is strange and in fact quite creepy in the midst of bloodshed and extreme violence. I get a chill up my spine and urinate down my legs as I see a small girl in a white nightgown standing amidst the corpses. Knowing this, the Dead Space marketing team incorporated children's lullabies and nursery rhymes into the game's trailer. Number 4. Dead Space 2 Easter eggs feature the development team. It's not unusual for a development team to randomly insert themselves into a game as a modest tribute to the game's creative team. A few examples of how developers have inserted themselves into their works include hiding the production team as ghosts throughout Metal Gear Solid, including Kratos' phone number in God of War, and making John Romero's head on a stick the true end boss in Doom 2. The exact applies to Dead Space 2. Number 3. Dead Space 2 is a slam at Scientology. Dead Space 2 is primarily an attack on religion, despite the fact that at first this may seem clear. It is offensive to criticize religion by attacking its adherents, while navigating the maze-like halls of a space station converted into a large church. The jab at religion does feel blatant, painfully insulting fictitious readers. But if you look a little closer, you'll discover that one particular religion, Scientology, is being singled out for attack. Number 2. The Metroid series has a big influence on Dead Space. At first glance, they might seem to have a lot in common. Both are set in space, both feature aliens, and both effectively convey isolation better than most other video games. The focus of both programs is on an abandoned spacecraft or space stations. Both have imposed epic boss battles that typically call either a combination of abilities or weapons to win. While the protagonist of the first Dead Space and most of the Metroid games is mute the entire time while they blast through space pirates and unknown creatures. Number 1. The conclusion of the first Dead Space was concealed in plain sight. The original Dead Space's climax was an excitingly spooky way to wrap up a great game. After surviving unspeakable horrors, Isaac gets to see his face for the first time and takes off into space. Oh, and Nicole briefly makes an appearance as a twisted nightmare version of herself before leaping on our hero, and the screen goes black. But did you know that the Dead Space crew hid the ending right in the title chapters? So guys, that was it for this video. What did you think about our video? Let us know in the comments section below. If you are new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching.